Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Birdie Wing, Girls Golf Story, and this is probably the best anime about lesbians golfing. If there are any more about that, then, maybe I could be proven wrong, but it was really fun. I really enjoyed this one. And before I get into it, I want to talk a little bit about the structure of this video and how I'm going to be changing the way I do anime reviews, since I'm going to be changing the way I do anime reviews. So before, I was just giving my general overview thoughts of a series, keeping things completely spoiler-free so that my videos could maybe serve as a recommendation. But then I thought, for a lot of these anime that I've been watching and been finishing up, I've just thought to myself, I want to talk more in depth about them. I want to talk about things that happen in them. And I've also thought, who's really looking up videos just for recommendations? Don't more people who's looking up Birdie Wing reviews for recommendations rather than because they watched it and want to see what somebody else's thoughts are on it? So the way I'm going to do this is the first section is going to be my general thoughts on a lot of things, like the production value type of things and the general story. What I think of it, if I would recommend it, what's some information behind it, do we know if we're ever getting a second season for any of these that I'm covering or not, things like that. I'm going to talk about general animation, music, etc. And then I'll do a shout out for the patrons and members, which will be a good place, like a midpoint for if you haven't seen it, if you don't want spoilers or deeper thoughts, you can bow out of the video there with my recommendation or not of the series. And then after that, I'll go through episode by episode with a little bit more of a detailed discussion, talking about things that actually happen. So if you don't care about spoilers, because I'm kind of the same way, I watch reviews of plenty of things that I'm like, I plan to play or read or watch this in the future, but I don't really care about spoilers. There's plenty of things that I will watch reviews of like that, so if you don't care, you can stick around for that, or if you just want the actual full discussion. So yeah, we'll do a spoiler-free part first, just a general part, and then we'll get into more detailed stuff after I do a shout-out for members and patrons. I'll use that as the midway point for people who want to leave without being spoiled on anything that happens in the series. So now, let's talk about Birdie Wing. I thought it was really fun. That's something that I can definitely say it's fun to watch. It's a very fun series. I wouldn't put it in the cute girls doing cute things genre. It's a really hard thing because I was thinking before, while I was setting up to record and everything, I'm like, how would I describe what the focus is? Because it's not necessarily about the golf. There is golf. Yeah, that's a big part of the skeleton, the structure of what's happening. But there are plenty of anime that I watch where it's about insert topic here, an anime about fishing, and I'm like, wow, I learned a lot about fishing. Anime about carpentry, it's like, wow, I learned a lot about carpentry. You're not going to learn about golf here. It's not seriously about golf or anything. But then I'm like, well, is it about, I guess it's about the characters and the drama, but again, there's other series that are more focused on the characters and drama. I don't exactly know how I would describe it in a simple way, because it's a little bit about a lot of those things. It's a little bit about golf. It's a little bit about the characters and drama. It's a little bit about all of those things. So it's hard to put into one box. So if you don't like sports anime, if you don't want to watch sports stuff, don't worry. You could still really enjoy this, I think. Its character designs and visuals, I think, are really great and really diverse. This is something that I like a lot in series, no matter what the setting is. I like when characters don't all look generic or look all the same. I mean, for some things it kind of makes sense. If you're setting something in I don't know, 600s Norway, it's okay, it's probably going to be a bunch of white people. Or it's if it's set in China in 300 BC, it's going to be a bunch of Asian people. So it's yeah, it depends on what your setting is and everything, but I generally like when, even if it's not diverse in terms of ethnicity or anything, diverse in terms of visuals. Give people different hairstyles and colors, give people different clothing styles. I like when characters look varied. Even in fantasy stuff, I love series where don't give me boring ass humans if we're doing a fantasy. Throw in some orcs and elves and whatever other fantasy races, species, whatever you want to do. So I really liked that there were a lot of characters with a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different visual looks going on. That's something that I really appreciated, especially in the first half of the series where it's set in fictional Nefres and we have characters who are, well, immigrants from various places in the world when it comes to Eve's family. So you have people who are African, people who are Middle Eastern, people who are European, people who are Asian. I liked that there was just a lot of different visual style going on with the way the different characters looked. And then for the second part of the series, I won't go any further, but it becomes a little bit less diverse visually. I think the character designs are still really, really good, though. I just think that as good as they are in the second half, I think the first half is even better. There is a really strong crime drama aspect to the series. There's a lot of crime drama stuff, again, especially in the first half and towards the middle. And I really enjoyed that part of it. I think that part of the series is very, very good. I think the characters are really likable. The characters are really, really likable. And I mentioned at the very beginning in my sort of like opening joke, I was like, oh yeah, it's about lesbians golfing. If you are looking into this for a lesbian romance, because I'm a big romance guy. I like romances. I like gay romances, lesbian romances, all of them. I really, really, really enjoy romance. And it's something I didn't when I was like a kid, but as I've gotten older and seen actual good romance series, the romance, at least so far, is like kind of, it's not overt. It's a bit implied. There's like breadcrumbs here and there. But if you're going into that looking for that, it's not overt. It doesn't really focus on that in the same way that it doesn't necessarily focus on golf or any one thing. And now that I'm saying it out loud, it like sounds bad that I'm like, oh, it doesn't focus on this, it doesn't focus on that, but I still think it's good. I think it's just fun. If you're looking for like the greatest masterpiece in the world, you're not going to find that out of most anime. But most anime, you're going to find a lot of fun, and I think this is another one that you're going to find that with. I think it's super underrated. And I say that with the caveat that I think a lot of people actually did watch and like this. I think maybe it wasn't underrated because so many people liked it. But yeah, I think more people should like it. I think the opening is very, very good. The ending is very, very good. I really like both. And here's the thing. We have Season 2 coming soon. Season 2 is coming early 2023, I believe, unless it gets pushed back. So again, that's something else I want to mention in these reviews, if we know if we're possibly getting another season or not. This one is definitely getting a second season. So if you want more content, if you want to watch something... Because, like, here's the thing. When I watch some anime, I'm just like, I don't want to watch something and be like, oh wow, that was a neat 12 episodes, but there's a lot more I want to know, and then be like, oh yeah, you're never ever getting another season of this. So I like to know going into something, oh, there's going to be more of this. That makes me more excited to watch it. But one of the issues with it seeming like well, we're getting a season 2. One of the issues is that it seems like Season 1 doesn't really end off definitively. It kind of just like ends and is like, okay, now wait for Season 2. It's like, it doesn't feel like a season finale. It just feels like, okay, that episode ended, here comes the next episode. And I don't know if it was a production issue, because again, I loved the opening, but there were like characters in the opening who didn't even show up in the show. So I'm like, did they think they were going to be able to condense a huge story into 13 episodes and then decide, oh yeah, we can't fit this into 13 episodes, we're going to have to stretch it out to a second season and cut it off here? That's kind of what it seems like. And I really, really don't mind it, because I would rather something be stretched out or delayed and good than to be like just rushed and skimmed over. But yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed it. I think that's a pretty solid way to leave off my recommendations for you all without getting spoilery. But with that out of the way, I kind of do want to go and talk a bit more in detail. So if you don't want to know anything that happens, if you don't want to be spoiled, because there are going to be some pretty major spoilers, it's, again, weird. Some anime, it's like, well, I mean, what do you mean major spoilers? There's nothing really to spoil. It's just a nice slice of life or whatever. This isn't that. This does have some definite serious things that are spoilers that I'm going to get into. So if you want to dip out now, then go ahead and do that. While you do, I'll give a shout out really quick to patrons and members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you to chosen regulars Edgy0, Evan Holly, Remorsefuls, Magical Girl, FR Nono, Cherryton Students, also the Storyteller, and David Langstaff, and Slayer Candidate SG. Super big thank you for helping out the channel. And with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and continue and talk more in depth about Birdie Wing. So yeah, to talk more in depth, we get episode 1 is our introduction to the main character Eve, to her family, which I really like, to her whole situation with golf, where she is going out and golfing for money against all these various rich people to try to make money, for her family just trying to scrape together, living kind of illegally, but they're doing what they got to do. And I really love her family. I wish we got more of her family. I like them a lot. I like their situation. I don't like their, like, if our real family was in that situation, it's like, damn, it's one of the evils of our world. But in fiction, I like that it adds drama. It adds character to her character, where I'm just like, yeah, I really feel for them and want them to succeed and just live nice, happy lives. I wish we got more of them. We meet Aoi as well, who is kind of our secondary main character, but we actually don't get to spend a ton of time with Aoi. So second episode gets into Eve versus Aoi in a bit of a golf challenge. Aoi wants Eve to join the tournament that's going on, the like girls under 15, the phrase open or whatever. So episode 3, Eve ends up joining it and technically winning, I think, or tying, I think winning by like a stroke against Aoi because of Rose's meddling, allowing her to be in the tournament to begin with, and then allowing her to messing up the shot at the end for Aoi. But then after that, in episode 4 is where things start to get really good. I liked the first 3, but episode 4 is where things, like, you can see, like, I have like one line of notes for each episode, and then we got multiple lines for each episode after that. So we get our introduction to some of the mob bosses and some of the tension, some of the subplot that's going on there. Aoi and Eve are promised to play again before Aoi's flight leaves back to Japan. Eve gets caught up in a match to repay the debt that was accrued to get her into the tournament. We get our introduction to Viper, and I will not lie to you all, Viper is extremely hot. Unbelievably hot. And also a very good character. I kind of have a thing for characters like that, where I find characters like that where they're kind of like a minor bad guy at first, but then they come around and they become kind of a good guy and they're kind of helpful, and there's a lot of good comedy that comes from it a lot of the time. Reminds me a little bit of Fango from 91 Days, but that was a much more serious series, I guess. I mean, I guess Birdie Wing is, for as fun as it is, it's also kind of serious. But a character like that, where they're like, kind of this chaotic extra factor where they started off bad, but then they become kind of good. I really like Viper. She might be my favorite character now that I'm thinking about it. But in the end, Eve does not make it in time. So episode 5, Aoi and Eve meet again in VR golf. And to me, there was so much of their like VR golf outfits used in like the promotional material ahead of time and stuff that I'm like, it's weird. It is so strange to me that this idea wasn't used more, especially since in Birdie Wing, the golf is kind of crazy and fantastical. It's not like completely fantasy golf, but it's not realistic either. So it's like, it kind of makes me think, why didn't they do VR golf more in the series? Why, in fact, wasn't that just the series' premise? They could have been like, whoa, VR golf took off and it's like this super popular thing now. You don't need an entire golf course or to pay the crazy high fees that, like, golf is expensive, man. I was on the golf team in high school, among other sports, and it was incredibly fun, but playing outside of being able to do it kind of for free-ish because of practice and matches for school, it's like way too expensive. I grew up poor, like I can't afford this. But yeah, it feels like, I don't know, that would have been a good idea to be like, in the series be like, oh yeah, everybody does VR golf now, and like we could see all these characters with their crazy avatars and stuff, and that would make it seem a little bit less weird when you see characters like Vipere out just chilling on like a golf course or whatever. I don't know. I just feel like it was weird that they didn't use this idea more, because I kind of felt like it just made a lot of sense for the series. We see Rose pulling more strings behind the scenes with all of this. Episode 6, we have a hilarious scene with Vipere where she's trying to convince this guy, and like she tries to seduce him, and he's just like, "I'm in, yes, please, I'm in." I love it. It was so funny. Eve is trying to save her home, and the entirety of the stuff where Eve is trying to save her home, where it might get demolished to make way for gentrification and this what was it, a casino or whatever. I really thought that was super compelling, and who knows what would have happened to her family if all that went down. I thought all of that was really, really good, and I feel like the first 5 episodes built to it really well. While we're just having fun golfing, we're subtly also building towards this really good, actual serious high stakes stuff. So starting with episode 7, we get Eve versus Rose, and it's incredibly good. All of this stuff is probably the climax of the series to me. It leads into episode 8. We get really great backstories for a lot of the characters that make me feel so much more for Klein, and for, I think Lily is Eve's sister's name, for the kids, even though they're not like fully backstoried up really. For Rose, I loved Rose as a character. Now that I think about it, Vipere might have been my favorite character. Maybe Rose was my favorite character. I don't know. But episode 8 to me is the best episode. We get the ending of the match between Eve and Rose. It's really good. Again, we get a lot of that incredible backstory stuff. We get some really good endings for a lot of the side characters. Again, huge spoiler alert. Again, if you're watching this and you don't want to be spoiled, leave off quickly, because I'm about to bring it up. Rose's death was incredible. I thought it was really great. An incredibly good scene. The only thing that I'm a little bit disappointed about with all of this is, I mentioned before how much I liked Eve's family, and I didn't like dropping like Klein and Lily and Eve's family at like episode 8. I wanted more of them. I really liked them. And I liked the dynamic and the tension with Eve and with them, and I didn't necessarily like us dropping that. I feel like, I guess we needed to, but I don't know. I didn't like as much as I loved episode 8 and think it was the best episode, and I really like Birdie Wing. That is the one complaint I would maybe have, is that, and it's not even a huge complaint, because I thought their ending was handled really well. I don't know, I'm a little disappointed that these characters I like just kind of got, okay, here's a conclusion for them, and we're barely gonna see them again. So then we get into episode 9, where we begin the Rayo Academy arc. We have Eve meeting Saotome, who wants to be a caddy, and who kind of feels like a little bit of a replacement for Lily in a lot of ways. They're really similar to me. And this is why I said in the intro part that things get a bit less diverse, because we go to Japan, and a lot of the characters start wearing the same uniform. Again, it's not about race or ethnicity necessarily. It's just that a lot of the characters start having similar designs. They all wear basically the same sort of uniform type outfits. So things just get a little bit, just get a lot less varied in the visuals of what we're seeing with these characters. So yeah, I don't know. She meets Saotome, she reunites with Aoi there, she enrolls in the academy, and she ends up with Eve Kimishima, I think is the name she goes by. I wish she had stuck with Eve Arleon, or Arleon. Stuck with Rose's last name, because Rose just, man, I loved Rose. She just, and her death meant so much. I wish she would have stuck with Eve Allion. So somebody mentioned in the comments for this episode, because I like to look back at comments after I watch an episode if I don't think I'm going to be spoiled by looking at them. Somebody had mentioned that it was weird how the series went from such high stakes to such low stakes. It seems like that's kind of backwards. I think it's because we're entering a different arc. But yeah, we did go from like such high, meaningful stakes that we had built so much to, and we built so much to this Rayo Academy stuff too, but it just feels like the stakes went from so high to like very low. and the seriousness went from so high to very low, which is it's a bit of a drop if you're maybe not into that. If you really were just invested in like the crime drama stuff, it's like maybe it's going to get a bit less interesting for you. But I think the stuff with the different schools and with the coach is pretty solid. And we don't really get to see where it fully goes yet, so I can't talk too much on it because we got to wait for season 2. But with episode 10, we have Eve hanging out with new friends. We have this mini golf challenge, and it's really about her accepting Saotomi as a friend and as her caddy. And it was really fun. I enjoyed that episode a lot. Again, just saying that, you know, it's fun. I enjoyed the, like, when I think the ending song played and we had the, like, sort of different outfit trying on montage. I thought that was fun. It was just a fun episode. Episode 11, Eve and Jinguji's training. That was that episode. I'm the type where I don't really care about age gaps between characters in fiction. I mean, it's not real. They're cartoons. They're lines on a paper. But Jinguji and the coach's relationship was weird, man. I don't know. Weird relationship for me. Episode 12, the qualifiers for the All Japan Girls High School Doubles Championship. It was really fun seeing how Eve had changed Aoi's image, how everybody viewed her differently, and how much that affected like Shinjo, who is the caddy to Aoi, who was also really sort of an important background character. We didn't get too much into her. How much she hates how much Eve has changed Aoi's image. I thought that was all good. And then we end off with episode 13. It was a cute episode. It was a good episode. It was an abrupt ending, to be honest. It even has a next episode preview, I think. But yeah, between this, the weird conflicting thing with like characters showing up in the opening but not in the series, it kind of just makes me feel like it was supposed to be 2 core, perhaps, or perhaps they thought they could shove it into 1 core, but then they're like, nah, we need to just do a full second season. Like I said at the beginning, I am absolutely fine with this because I would much prefer for it to get pushed back a bit and still be very good than for it to be rushed and not good. I thought this was great. I think you should all give it a try. Definitely, absolutely. I liked it a lot. I really enjoyed this series. Ended up being a long review, but I think I just think that's my wheelhouse, honestly. I think that the short reviews where I just give a general outlook like, hey, just 3 minutes, go watch this. I just don't feel right doing that because I don't feel like I could make that in a tweet. I could make that in a community tab post and say, hey, go watch this show. But if I really want to review something, I want to get more in depth. I want to give my thoughts. I want to talk with you all about it. And that's the thing. I'm not going to take weeks to do each one of these reviews individually, do a bunch of editing, have a bunch of scenes up here. That's just not me. I want to talk with you all. I want to talk with you all about how much I enjoyed a series, or lack thereof. I don't know. I haven't run into any series to review that I haven't liked in a long time. So, I mean, most of my reviews, you got to expect me to be positive. I'm just generally a positive and open person. I'm going into something looking to like it and looking to enjoy it, and I'll forgive a lot. I'm just not super harsh on things because I think too many people just go into things looking for reasons to not like it, and it's like, just chill, just enjoy it. But that said, I'm going to be doing a review for Daimon right after this, and as much as I loved Birdie Wing, I think Daimon is one of my favorite animes of this year so far, definitely my favorite of spring. So yeah, I think look out for that one, because yeah, I'm doing that one directly after this, and I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorites. So yeah, right after this review, going to be doing a Daimon review, going to do a review of Spy Family Part 1, and then I've got a bunch of other stuff to do when it comes to manga, when it comes to manhwa or webtoons. I have a bunch of that stuff to do, and then I'll circle back around to anime, do 3 more anime reviews. I have a lot of things that I have finished that I'm going to be doing reviews of. I've got Skeleton Knight. I finished Shikimori-san. There's like 5 or so other than these 3 that I just mentioned that I still need to do reviews on. Kono Healer Mendokusai. So you're going to see reviews on all those. In addition to that, again, as I watch stuff, I'll add it to the list of things I need to do reviews for. I'm like 2 episodes off finishing Kunoichi Tsubaki. I'm pretty close to finishing. There was something else that I was close to finishing. RPG Fudosan. I'm still stuck on spring. I need to finish some old like winter stuff too, and I need to move on to summer, and now we're already into fall. So there's a lot to get to. You'll be seeing a lot of these videos, I think. But yeah, that's it for this one. I guess I got to say, if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought about the series, what you thought of my thoughts. Again, I want to talk with you all. I really enjoy just that's the kind of channel I want to be. I just want to talk with you all. I like the discussion. Subscribe for more anime, manga, manhwa, much more on the channels. Like I mentioned, need to get back to light novels too. Subscribe for all of that. If you want a link to the Discord server, it's free and open for anyone. Just ask me for a link. Subscribe, I already said. Sorry, my brain is all over the place. If you want to help support the channel on Patreon, it's patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or if you want to help support by becoming a channel member, channel memberships, hit join down there. I'll have links to everything in the description, stuff as always. But yeah, I guess should I give another thank you at the end for patrons and members? I can. If you don't want to see it, you can just leave early. But yeah, for those of you that want another shout out, yeah, Chosen Regulars, Magical Girls, Cheriton Students, and Slayer Candidates. Thank you to Etchy Zero, Evan, Holly Remorseful, Zephyr Nono, Elsa the Storyteller, David Langstaff, and SG. I guess at the end of this, I don't know, it feels weird to list out every single one twice. But either way, thank you all for watching. Maybe I won't do a full shout out at the end. I'll just throw this back up here as I'm doing my outro. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you all next time.